Hey everyone, this is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch, and I'm going to tell you the truth about the NFL. What happened this week? There were some late games Monday night that had a huge impact in the playoff standings, some tough losses by the favorites. I'm going to talk about the Cowboys. They beat up on the Eagles 33-13, and they're efficient. And Prescott threw for two TDs and 271 yards. And Dowdell had 46 yards rushing, and I believe Pollard had 59 yards rushing. They ran the ball pretty good. They ran it good to me. Usually they ran it okay, and they just pass you. They average over 40 points a game at home, and Prescott is super efficient. No interceptions. Let's look at him for the year. He has a 20. He has 107 QBR and 28 touchdowns. 28 touchdowns. He has 5 interceptions. And that three were against the Niners. Yeah, 5 interceptions, 28 touchdowns. Passer rating is good at 3,500 yards, and he's efficient. And this system is, they're humming right now. And they beat up, and you know what? Beating up on the lousy teams, and the Giants aren't lousy, they're getting good. But beating up on those teams gave them the confidence, it gave them a rhythm. So now they played the Seahawks, they beat them. They're in the same rhythm, and the Eagles were struggling. As soon as Hurts fumbled the ball when 7-0, and they were moving in and tied the score to stabilize the game. That was it. That's all Dallas needed. And the really good teams that are trying to contend, when you make a mistake, they score a touchdown. Dallas made a mistake on special teams. The Eagles got a field goal. They did a fake punt and they moved down the field just to get a field goal. Whenever you turn the ball over on downs or like Brown fumbles, they're getting points, and you're not stopping them. And on third down, they're getting the first down because now you got a tight end, a big target of Ferguson. Now you got CD, and then the others just fill in the Cooks, and now even Gallup had 3 receptions. But Cooks has really been their guy that's been doing pretty good. The third guy, they're going to need him to really be good when they're playing the Niners. But in this feature, the Dallas defense was really good. Parsons finally got a sack against Lance Johnson. It's not easy. He didn't go crazy, but um, they pressured him enough and they stopped the run, and they're doing pretty good against the pass. So they're playing complete football. Dallas look, you'd say, man, Dallas is the top team in the NFC. Problem is they got the 49ers. And Dallas and the 49ers are playing the best right now in the league. The problem is they got to play each other. You can't, that's not a Super Bowl matchup. So Dallas is probably going to have to go to San Francisco again. It should be closer, but when I look at this situation with the NFC, I look at Detroit losing. Detroit's defense is slipping a little bit, but I'm looking at the Cowboys. I think Buffalo. I'm picking Buffalo, even though Dallas plays so good. I just think going to Buffalo, Buffalo's desperate. I'll get to the Buffalo Kansas City game a little later. Buffalo's playing really good. They're getting a good pass rush. Von Miller's playing a lot better. If Dallas is going to slip, it's this game. I don't know if the Eagles are going to beat the Seahawks. It doesn't look good. So I would think that if the Eagles could beat the Giants at home, okay, the Cardinals who are playing a little better at home, then that last game, the Giants again, that's the game that I would be concerned with if I'm the Eagles fan, because that could be for the division. Unless Dallas loses to Miami and Buffalo, then that last game probably doesn't mean anything. But if the Eagles beat the Seahawks and the Cowboys lose to Buffalo, there's breathing room. I think that the Eagles will finagle their way to win the East. Um, unless Dallas beats Miami and Buffalo. Now all bets are off. Now I may pick them against the San Francisco 49ers, even though everybody's saying the Niners are heads and shoulders above everyone else. I don't think they're head and shoulders above everyone. I think Dallas and the Niners are sitting there staring at each other. And I wonder if you're a Cowboys fan or a Niners fan, you're scoreboard watching. You're watching what the Niners do, and then the Niners fans are watching what the Cowboys do. I just wonder how that dynamic is. So those are the two teams. But if the season ended now, the Eagles will win the division. They get the 2 seed, the Niners get the 1 seed, and Dallas get the 4 seed. And Dallas will end up playing either Tampa or Atlanta or New Orleans. That's going down to the wire. Dallas would wax any of those teams, and then they would have to go to San Francisco in the divisional round. So that's not a Super Bowl matchup. That's probably a divisional round matchup in Frisco. Two of the top teams in the NFL have to play in the divisional round. Now, the Eagles could just keep messing up, and the Cowboys could win the division, which the Cowboys prefer. But I do believe the Eagles may hold on. I have my doubts if they beat Seattle, but if Buffalo beats Dallas and Seattle beats Philadelphia, then Philadelphia they'll be the favorites in those 3 games left, and they have to figure out how to get out of there, and then they'll be the 2 seed, and they'll end up they would end up playing the Vikings without Cousins, or the Green Bay or the Rams or Seattle again. I mean, the Giants, if they ran a table, they would be able to make it. I don't think they're going to do that, but they play the Saints. It's probably an eliminator game this Sunday. But if the Eagles take care of business, then they might run into Detroit. What if Detroit and Green Bay play again? Maybe Green Bay gets them. But Green Bay had a bad loss yesterday. Had a bad loss to the Giants yesterday. I'm going to talk about that. But as far as Dallas is concerned, you hope you get the division, but if you don't win the division, you do get a below average South division winner. And whether it's Tampa or Atlanta or New Orleans, 60% of the joint is going to be Cowboy fans. So that's a home away from home. They whoop up on the team like they're supposed to. They go to Frisco. And if you're the Cowboys and you listen to Deebo Samuels is a Cowboy killer. If you listen to Deebo Samuel and say, we're going to beat you worse. You talked all this junk saying you didn't bring your A game. We're going to beat you worse. So if you're the Cowboys, you probably prefer, if you're a competitor like those guys are, like Parsons and those dudes are, and you're Dak, you threw 3 interceptions, you've had a flawless MVP candidate year, a 108 passer rating, 28 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. You want to go into Frisco, and your line has to hold up, and you can't make those same mistakes. You got to make sure Greenlaw and Warner and those linebackers, they don't affect you. You have to run the ball a little better. They didn't run it at all. So now a great defense like the Niners are going to load up. And you better believe Steve Wilkes is going to put 2 people on CeeDee Lamb and maybe put their best cover on Ferguson. They're going to make them play left-handed. But if you're the Cowboys, I know I'm getting ahead of myself thinking about this matchup, but this matchup is just amazing. And I think that I gotta just put that thought out there in the audience. I would make sure McCaffrey, first and foremost, doesn't run. Number 2, I got to see Purdy under pressure, because the games they lost, he was under pressure. Number 3, I want the lead. When you've beaten a team so many times and you play them again and you get behind, you start to press because you're so used to beating that team. You're like, oh my gosh, we shouldn't be losing. Now you start to press. That's when mistakes come. So if you're the Cowboys, the one thing you got in your back pocket, Kyle Shanahan is 0-36 when behind 8 points, which I'm surprised because his offense is so uh, innovative that you'd figure they could just make up. Even if they're 14 points behind, they could just make it up and get two scores and tie the game and win it late. But he's 0-8. And I say this in a complimentary way. The Niners are a bully team because they're built to just smash you. So most of the time they're up big by the third quarter or 13, 14, 17, 20 points. They're usually up. So that's not a stat that he thinks about. But if you're the Cowboys, you're like, listen, all the pressure in the world's still going to be on the Niners because of the way they beat them. So that's going to be interesting because I think they're McCarthy. I think they're looking forward to going out there. We're gonna go out here and now you ain't gonna blow us out like you did before. I know you got McCaffrey and Purdy or MVP candidates, and Debo has been a Cowboys killer. We're gonna take care of that. The problem is you got to deal with Debo, you got to deal with Ayuk, you got to deal with Kittles across the middle. You got to deal with all his formations. You got to deal with Debo in the backfield. You got to deal with Debo in the slot. You got to deal with Debo outside. You got to make sure that you stop the run. You got to make sure that if you do blitz, you don't get caught on a screen pass to McCaffrey where you can go 50 yards down the field. You got to make sure it's not 3rd and 2, which they can just open the playbook. You got to make sure it's 3rd long and Parsons and Lawrence and all those dudes can eat. And you also got to make sure Dak is right. There's pressure on the Niners as a favorite, but there's pressure on the Cowboys because of the perception that it's been so long, they haven't won nothing. They can't get to the NFC Championship game. They have to go to Frisco again in the divisional round. If you think it, listen, if we beat the Niners, then we can beat anybody. Then we go to Philadelphia or wherever to play Mahomes or the Cheetah or the Ravens or Super Bowl, we're good. We just got this San Francisco 49er bugaboo. Mentally, can you make the plays you have to make in the fourth quarter? I do believe this is going to the fourth quarter, and both teams have a lot to prove in a close game because the Niners used to kicking your rear end, but now what if things don't go right? And now you're scuffling. Now you're playing Dallas and they're putting up some points and it's a close game. And now you got to have it drive to win the game. You're behind and you need to get down the field to tie the game on a field goal or win it on a touchdown. That's the game within a game that I love. If the Eagles don't stumble, that you'll get that. If they stumble, the Cowboys, they just have to worry about playing the Niners because the Eagles, if they even get there, they'll have to go back to Dallas and Dallas will just wipe out the Eagles again. But if it goes the way it could go with Dallas's tough schedule remaining and they may lose one, the Eagles will win the division and the Cowboys are the 5 seed and they're going to wax, like I said, the South, and then they go to Frisco right away. And man, I would love that. There's certain matchups in the history of the NFL, that's coming. Like when the Cowboys and Niners used to always play in the 90s, or the Niners and Giants used to play in the 80s. They're going to play each other in the playoffs, and you just can't wait. And that's kind of how I feel. There were 2 Monday Night Football games at the same time. Extremely stupid. I wanted to see both games. I said, let me see what the Cheetah and the Dolphins are going to do. And he got hurt, came back. Titans were just tough. Will Levis is really going to he's going to be pretty good. I think they have a good quarterback in the Titans. He had a lot of poise. They were really trying to stop Henry. They did, but it was Hopkins that cooked. Xavier Rhodes was a great cornerback. The receiver just had a better day. It was back and forth. He had 7 receptions, 124 yards, and a TD. And they were going back and forth. The fourth quarter is tied when the when they had the ball at the goal line, I didn't understand some of the play calling, but they got after they fumbled punt, and there was another turnover, and they ended up Mostert scored. Okay. Then it was a turnover after it was 13-13, punt, a fumble punt, then another turnover. They got 2 touchdowns there by Mostert. Okay. 4:39 left. The Dolphins, you're trying for a 1 seed. You're at home. You're playing the Titans. You got to get that home. Even my lousy Steelers were able to hold on and beat the Titans. And they come flying down the field in less than 2 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. Hopkins long pass, then down the middle for a 3-yard touchdown. Now, this is where this is some head scratching play calling. Mostert 3-yard gain, timeout. Mostert 1-yard gain, timeout. 3rd and 6, you got to have your best third and 6 pass play because you completed, the game is over, and no one's open. And Tua gets he gets a 4-yard gain, but he doesn't get it. They punt, and Tennessee comes flying back down the field. Now I'm thinking, okay, Miami, let them score now because you can't stop them. And you know what? Previously, the touchdown before the go-ahead touchdown, Vrabel went for 2. So he's going for it. I like that. At 4-8, when they got to lose, that was good. So now touchdown wins instead of ties it. And they get the ball with minute 53 left, and I'm thinking, okay, Miami, let them score. They let them score. I said they let them score too soon, 153 with McDaniel and Tua, and then they didn't play Tyreek Hill on a couple plays. I don't know if that was his ankle that he turned previously earlier in the game, but it was some wacky. They got a first down, and then 3rd and 3 throws the ball behind Danico Autry, and he scrambles just to get a yard. It's 4th and 2. You should have ran the ball on 3rd and 3 the way you were running the ball. Give me Mostert. Go get the first down. And now you go get the first down at the Miami 44. You get the first down, and I believe they had a timeout left. You get that timeout. Oh no, they didn't. So because of how high powered your offense is, just get that first down and get to midfield. And now you could throw a 30-yard pass out, 20-yard pass down the field and get to a 30, run and scramble, spike and kick the winning field goal. There were so many other options than what happened. Those last 2 plays were and they were off. Offensively, they just were they were taking a long time in the huddle. Miami was a mess, and that's a bad loss. Now, I still think they're okay with a chance as far as home field because I think Baltimore loses to Jacksonville and the Niners. So if you're Miami, you're gonna have to win against Dallas. You got some tough games coming up. The Jets, they'll probably beat up on the Jets. Dallas at home, you got to win that. At Baltimore, which I love because that's probably a home field advantage game. And then you got to play Buffalo, who's desperate, a desperate Buffalo team. Now, that hurts them badly. Now, Green Bay, to me, Green Bay made too many mistakes to win the game. And the Giants capitalized each and every time. And the Giants showed some offense. When DeVito passed to Hodgins for a touchdown, it's 21-13. Listen, look at the Giants. And Green Bay comes back, and they don't get the 2-point. They get a field goal, touchdown, no 2-point conversion with 1:36 left. That gave DeVito and the Giants plenty of time to get all the way down to the 18-yard line. Green Bay's defense just broke down, and they lost, and the Giants deserved that game. The Giants are playing good ball. Had they got that call against Buffalo, the Giants are a wild card potential team. But 8 losses is a lot. You got to go to New Orleans. You got to play the Eagles twice. That's a little rough. But they ride the ship. So going forward to next year, what DeVito did is he played himself to a backup role with the Giants next year. He played himself into a job. So if the Giants go let Dan Jones go and get Penix or whoever quarterback they get. They keep DeVito. He knows the system, and he did well. Kansas City Buffalo was a great game. I love when Allen and Mahomes go at it in Arrowhead. It's just beautiful to watch. And even when Buffalo's up 14-0, I said, listen, I'm thinking that Kansas City's coming back. They came all the way back. They took the lead after Rashid Rice caught a touchdown pass. I said, uh-oh, let's see what Buffalo can do. And no, after a field goal tied it up in the fourth quarter, the game went south for Kansas City. And when it went south was with 5:41 left, and this may have saved Buffalo's season. When Allen was about to go out of bounds, throws up this crazy pass, looks like it's up for grabs, and Deontay Hardy, of all people, gets the 25-yard gain, third down. They keep the drive moving, and they get held for a field goal. Okay, 154 left, and Patrick Mahomes got the ball. You can get it. You can get a touchdown. I don't care. Zero toe. Who cares? You get his. I know the way he moves the ball, but this hasn't happened this year. These game-winning potential drives end up in nothing. Drop passes, penalty, just a mess. And lo and behold, you didn't get the drop pass, but you got the penalty. With 2nd and 4, the Buffalo 49, the offside penalty. Toney did it again. And I listened to Shady McCoy and Jones on their show talk about it, and McCoy defended Toney, saying the official should have told it to him, which is probably true. Of course, he played in the league. But he's so inside the slot, the official probably couldn't get to him, number one. Number two, you got to take responsibility for your mistakes. I get it. Oh, they should have called it, not call it. You can't line up offside with the game on the line. You got that. You learn that in high school. You got to know where you are. If the play's coming to you, maybe you're a little anxious, but come on, man. And Toney dropped a gazillion passes in the Detroit loss. This is the second game that Kadaris Toney single-handedly lost the game for the Chiefs, because that was a great play down the field to Kelsey, pitches it to Toney for a touchdown. I'm like, wow, what a way the Chiefs are going to win this game. Buffalo's not going to recover. They call the penalty, and okay, I know Chiefs aren't going to get it, and they didn't do anything. And Mahomes was furious. This was right after the game. I got it. But, man, the Chiefs have been – and this is – when you win the Super Bowl, sometimes the following year, it's hard to repeat. It's hard to get back because things don't – you lose personnel or things just don't go right. You lost your coordinator. You got a new coordinator. It's just – they're just a tick off every game, even the games they win. And it's just – can they get together? Now – I know in the NFC, I'm looking at Dallas and the Niners. And if the Eagles if they hang on, I'm kind of almost on the verge of dismissing them. But it's the Cowboys and the Niners. And I'm looking every week, I'm looking to see how they match up. AFC, I can't tell. I mean, the Baltimore needed a punt return to beat the Rams at home. And Baltimore is shaky at home. They don't have the best playoff resume. Jackson doesn't win. I think he beat Tennessee at Tennessee. He doesn't have a good playoff record. And they've been kind of iffy. So if they got home field, that's no guarantee. But if they're home, if they beat the Niners, because I think Jacksonville's going to be in this week. If they beat the Niners, they're okay, because Jacksonville had a bad performance against the Browns and Joe Flacco. They couldn't stop Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco outperformed Trevor Lawrence. That is a bad look. And Trevor Lawrence threw 3 interceptions. So they're going to look to play a lot better at home against Baltimore. I think they beat Baltimore. And that would help Jacksonville. I don't think Jacksonville's going to get the home field advantage now. Like I said last week, I think Kansas City could schlep their way right back to Arrowhead again. As bad as they're playing, they're going to New England. New England won their Super Bowl. New England's probably not going to win any more games this year. Vegas at home, the Bengals at home, and at the Chargers. The Chiefs going to win all four of those games, and they're going and it's going to go right back to Arrowhead. If they lose any of those, they probably have to go to Baltimore or Miami. Miami, if Miami now they run the table, they got an extremely tough game at Dallas. Like I said, Baltimore, that's going to decide a lot. The last week of this December 31st, woo, 1 o'clock, Baltimore, can't wait to see that. If Miami wins that, they have a chance, but they got to beat Buffalo, who could need that game. I, I don't know who's cut now. I don't know how long this Flacco thing is going to work with Cleveland. Pittsburgh and Indianapolis play each other. I'm assuming that Indianapolis is going to win that game. So Houston, Denver, Cincinnati, and Buffalo are just all going to fight for the last 7 teams, 3 spots. So you're going to have to really run the table if you're these 3 teams. But I think Houston beating Denver was big. That would be big, that tiebreaker. I like Buffalo somehow getting in. I think they're going to run the table all the way to Miami. If Miami don't need that game, Buffalo could win that one. I like Buffalo. And then Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Houston, Denver, and Cincinnati. That's a crapshoot. But I like Buffalo. Out of all those teams, I believe Buffalo's a sure thing. I like how Miller is starting to get it going with his pass rush. And Rousseau, and I know hopefully Micah Hyde can come back. I know he looked like he got injured. They don't have their top corner and their top linebacker, but they're starting to compensate for that and play better as a unit. And offensively, they're running the ball and they're passing. And Josh Allen is really, really, really being efficient. He runs when he should. He doesn't run recklessly. He runs smart. He's efficient. Cook is running very well. Murray gives you tough yards. Now that allows you to open up your playbook. Now you're not 3rd and 13 and Josh Allen's trying to be Superman. I absolutely love how Allen's playing. 25 touchdowns, man. 25 touchdowns this year. Let me see how many interceptions. 10 interceptions. 25 and 10. That for Josh Allen, that's not bad. That's not bad. But if he can cut that down going forward, I just believe that all those teams that are kind of scuffling around in 7-6, I just think Buffalo, out of all those teams, I think they're the sure thing that's going to make the wild card. Devin Haney had a great performance against Prograis. He destroyed them, systematically took them apart for 12 rounds, knocked them down, staggered them, showed power they didn't show in 135 or 140. He's looking comfortable. Beat up Prograis. And the reason why this was his best performance is there were a couple times he boxed well, got tatted up like Lomachenko. Maybe that's the weight. But because he looks like he's a natural 140, he was able to slip punches, terrifically jab, put that right in front of Prograis. Every time Prograis thought about throwing his power punches, couldn't get going, popped them, jab, pop, right hand, left hand jab, pop, right hand, hook, body shots, get out of the way, slide out of the way, don't stay on the ropes. It was just picturesque and beautiful. And he beat him up. And Prograis, I consider, is a B fighter. Now, listen, Devin Haney's father, that's his son. So he's going to talk about how great he is. He's pound for pound the best I got. And he was, even if it felt like it was a little too much, I do understand. That's a father talking about his son. But in reality, it doesn't make him the face of boxing. It doesn't make him pound for pound because weight or no weight, even though he struggled with that weight, I thought the Lomachenko fight was a draw. So you can't say, okay, we beat up Lomachenko, we beat up Prograis. You either barely beat Lomachenko or drew him, and you beat up Prograis. So you're pretty battle tested. The issue is you got another great fight before I want to anoint you as the guy. Even though this is a great fight and you sold out your arena out there in Northern California, great. But that's step one. Step two is the more important step. You go out there and you work a deal. I don't care how you do it. Make sure everyone gets paid. You go get Teofimo, or you see if Tank is moving up. If Tank don't move up, you fight Teofimo Lopez. And there's a couple other fights. If you fight Ryan Garcia, he's going to beat Ryan. Ryan Garcia is electrifying as far as his length, and he could crack. He's got a sweet left hook, but he's flawed. And he's flawed mentally. Because I wanted to take a long look at Ryan Garcia in his fight to see if I could say, okay, mentally he's okay. I saw the press conference. I saw him kind of mix arrogance and religion all together, which turns me off as a person who's a man of faith. Don't just throw that as a weapon, which he did, which I didn't like, but he's young. And there's just mental issues. Then he tries this weird shoulder roll that the guys who do it really good, I get it. The James Toney and Floyd Mayweather, but this is the kind of shoulder roll he turned away, and he could have got really hurt. If his opponent in front of him really was a good boxer, he'd have put him in trouble. Devin Haney, if he throws that shoulder roll, that fake shoulder roll out there, Devin Haney's going to knock him out. And you think his father is talking junk now? You wait till he beats Ryan Garcia, who I believe is a B-plus fighter. That's not enough for me. I'm a tough critic. What's enough for me is if you go beat Teofimo Lopez, because Teofimo Lopez has every bit the electrifying boxing skills that you do, even if maybe you're a little better boxer, but he has a little more power, and he's really athletic. And when he's locked in like he is now, that's a great fight for. And Haney's locked in, and Lopez locked in. Let's make the fight happen. And there's a couple other good contenders that are out there, but that's the one I want to see. That's the fight I want to see. And the other fight I want to see is Shakur Stevenson and Tank. Now, if Shakur fights Lomachenko, he's going to beat him up. There's not going to be no questionable decisions or none of that. He's going to beat him up. And I just think the Shakur Stevenson slander is ridiculous. I can do this. I can do that. This kid's the best boxer in the sport. Best fighter in the sport? I go Crawford. Best pure boxer, without even better than Haney, better than Tank, is Shakur Stevenson. This is the truth. This show's called Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I gotta tell the truth. I love Tank. I really like Haney. After this showing, I really do. I'm really impressed, and I do understand his dad. Boy, I like to have his dad on, because if I had his dad on, I'd press him. What about Teofimo Lopez? I understand the other guys, but that main fight, you want to be that dude, you go beat the A fighter. You whoop the B fighter is fine. Go get that money, man. But Teofimo and Haney have to make. Hopefully, they both get paid well. Make the fight, please. I'm hoping Tank and well, if Tank moves up, then you got to fight Tank. I don't know if Shakur's going to move up. I talked to his trainer. We had a nice talk on the phone. I'm trying to get him, Wally Moses, on my show again. I had him before, so if you go on YouTube and see that again. So we're trying to work some things out, because I'm just going to let him talk and let him take the conversation where it has to go.